Life is full of unexpected turns you can't foresee. I thought that evening as I sat alone in the cramped hotel room with Gary. My husband, Logan, had been away in another city for the past few months, and the absence had left me feeling on edge. I missed him, yes, but it wasn't just his physical absence that troubled me. It was his indifference and lack of attention that was the real issue. The long, lonely nights were gnawing at me, but little did I know that asking my stepson Gary to take me to see his dad would result in us being stuck together in a small hotel room, sharing a single bed. I had no clue what was about to unfold. Let me start from the very beginning and tell you everything, every tiny detail. Trust me, the end of this story will surprise you more than you can imagine. That morning, as I was leaving the house, I caught a brief glimpse of myself in the mirror. I felt tense, sure, but I still looked good. Despite Logan's absence, I still felt attractive, still felt alive, but even those feelings weren't enough to satisfy me anymore. In the kitchen, Gary was finishing his breakfast when I called out to him from behind. "You're starting college at the end of the summer, I know, but you need to get better at driving. Come on, take me to see your dad." He looked up at me with that same playful grin that always made him seem so mischievous. Gary was a sweet kid with a quirky sense of humor, but he could also be a bit of a troublemaker. "All right, stepmom," he teased, "but only on one condition. Tell Dad to get me a better car for the summer." "We'll talk about it," I replied, eager to get the trip over with. I hadn't realized how the ride would unfold. 2 hours into the drive, I was sitting in the back seat, mindlessly scrolling on my phone, while Gary hummed along to some random song on the radio, throwing out goofy jokes that only made him laugh. Then suddenly, the car made a dreadful noise, a hiss, and stopped dead. "What's happening?" I asked, trying not to panic. "I think the car broke down," Gary muttered, pulling over to the side of the road, clearly irritated. And so, there we were, stranded in the middle of nowhere, with barely any phone signal and no one around to help. We spent 2 hours arguing, calling every mechanic we could find, and attempting to fix the car. In the end, we had to face the facts. The only choice was to spend the night at the nearest motel. At the motel reception, while Gary dealt with the guy at the desk, I stood behind him, frustrated. If Logan finds out about this, he'll flip, I thought. But strangely, in that moment, it didn't seem to matter as much as I expected. Deep down, I felt like something was about to change. Before things get any crazier, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the rest of this story, and I'd love to see your support in the comments and with likes. When we reached the room and opened the door, all my expectations fell apart. The space was minuscule, barely enough to move around. It had only one bed, a nightstand, and a flickering overhead light that gave everything a grimy appearance. The ceiling felt low, the air conditioning barely worked, and the single small window just overlooked the parking lot. "This is it," I muttered, disappointed. Gary walked in behind me, laughing. "What did you expect? A 5-star hotel?" Relax, stepmom. It's just one night. His teasing tone, paired with that smirk, drove me crazy. But at the same time, it sparked something inside me I couldn't quite explain. As much as I hated to admit it, the idea of being stuck in this room with Gary tonight didn't seem all that terrible. This heat is unbearable, I said, rubbing the back of my neck. I need a shower or I'm going to pass out. Sure, Gary said casually, throwing himself onto the bed and lying flat on his back. This is your kingdom, Carmen. Do whatever you need to feel at home. I glanced at him for a moment. His lean, toned body combined with the boyish charm of his face had a strange allure. I quickly tried to push the thought aside. He was Logan's son, my stepson. I stepped into the bathroom, shutting the door behind me. For a moment, I stared at my reflection in the mirror. My hair clung to my skin from the heat, but I still looked good. I still had that spark. Turning on the shower, I let the water run and stepped under it, hoping it would wash away the whirlwind of emotions building inside me. I'm 47, I thought, and Gary's no longer a kid. He's 22, about to start college, and here we are, stuck in this tiny hotel room for a couple of days. The thought made me both uncomfortable and strangely excited. Logan crossed my mind. Logan, I wanted to surprise you, to be with you, but now here I am, stuck in this hotel room with your son, and I don't know what to make of it. The steam from the shower filled the small bathroom, and the heat began to relax my body, even as my mind raced. Gary's grin, his carefree nature, was sparking something unexpected inside me. I couldn't quite understand what was happening, but I knew something was changing. Later, I decided to head downstairs for dinner to clear my head a bit. I threw on a light, flowy dress. It was perfect for the heat, and it made me feel a little more at ease, as if I were trying to shake off the strange tension I was feeling. The hotel restaurant was simple but cozy, fitting for a place this small. I ordered a light meal and a glass of wine, hoping it would help me relax. The sun had set, and the streetlights outside the hotel glowed softly. Sitting there, I couldn't stop my mind from wandering back to the room upstairs. I wondered what Gary was doing now. Someone as full of energy as him probably wasn't enjoying being stuck in that tiny room, but somehow his relaxed, carefree attitude, it drove me crazy in a way I couldn't explain. Once my wine was gone, I gave my plate one last glance and made my way upstairs, taking slow, deliberate steps. When I reached the room, everything was so quiet. I opened the door, and the sight that greeted me left me momentarily breathless. Gary had taken a shower and was lying on the bed in just a robe, completely out of it. His robe was half open, revealing most of his lean, fit body, and his damp hair fell over his forehead. A faint smile rested on his lips, as if he were lost in a dream. My heart began to race. It was the last thing I expected to walk into. For a moment, I froze by the door, unsure of what to do. Inside, I was overwhelmed with a strange mix of emotions. I felt embarrassed, but I couldn't look away from him. Carmen, what the hell are you doing? That's Logan's son. I scolded myself internally, but my eyes betrayed me, drawn to the part of his robe that had slipped even further open. What I saw sparked something warm inside me. The small size of the room only made things worse. There wasn't another bed. It was either sleep next to him or spend the night in a chair. And in this heat, the thought of a chair seemed unbearable. I stepped into the room slowly, Gary's steady breathing filling the space. I took a deep breath, trying to focus, but the chaos inside me made it impossible to think clearly. I had to pull myself together. "Okay, Carmen," I whispered. "Just one night." I whispered, the words a flimsy shield against the burgeoning chaos in my chest. The surprise for Logan, a meticulously planned weekend getaway, now felt miles away, replaced by the unexpected reality of sharing a bed with Gary. Rationality, my usual companion, had deserted me. I took a hesitant step towards the bed, my gaze falling upon Gary's sleeping form. His peaceful expression, innocent and guileless, only served to amplify the turmoil within me. The clock blinked 8:48. I sat on the edge of the mattress, a silent plea for composure, lost in the suffocating weight of the situation. The night wore on, a slow, agonizing crawl towards an uncertain dawn. A soft rustle broke through the quiet around 9:21. My eyelids fluttered open, just enough to take in the room, my peripheral vision catching Gary shifting restlessly. He seemed half awake, running a hand through his hair, the gesture almost unconsciously sensual. I found myself observing him, my gaze fixed, but my eyelids remained partially closed, a pretense of sleep, masking the vibrant wakefulness within. The subtle movements of his body, the way the light caught the contours of his form, created a strange, unfamiliar pull. Then, the undeniable shift. His eyes met mine. My heart leaped, a frantic drum against my ribs. He was watching me. The pretense of sleep became more difficult to maintain, the sleepy facade cracking under the intense scrutiny. The energy coursing through me was palpable, a vibrant current of nervous excitement. Slowly, deliberately, he began to unfasten the belt of his robe. The fabric slipped from his shoulders, revealing more of his physique. The way his muscles flexed beneath his skin sent an unexpected warmth spreading through me. In that moment, a strange realization dawned. I had no control over the unfolding events, and to my utter surprise, a part of me didn't want to. He retrieved a pair of shorts from the wardrobe, his gaze lingering on me throughout the process. Each glance, brief yet charged with unspoken meaning, intensified the electricity between us. I struggled to maintain the charade, but at the same time, I surrendered to the moment, allowing the intoxicating tension to consume me. He donned the shorts, but instead of returning to bed, he sat in the corner chair, his eyes fixed on me. The intensity of his gaze was both unsettling and thrilling, stirring something deep within me, something primal and unexpected. I kept my eyes closed, the pretense of sleep becoming increasingly strained. How long could I maintain this charade? The tension, the unspoken questions, the sheer physical proximity, they were becoming unbearable. My body, despite my conscious efforts, began to react. A shiver ran down my spine, a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. The air between us crackled with unspoken desires, unspoken words hanging heavy in the quiet room. The night was no longer just a night, it was a crucible, forging something new, something unexpected, something possibly dangerous. The moral implications, the implications for my relationship with Logan, were momentarily eclipsed by the overwhelming force of the moment. This wasn't just about physical attraction. It was a complex interplay of unspoken desires, hidden vulnerabilities, and a sudden, unexpected shift in the landscape of my own emotions. The clock ticked on, each second a step further into the unknown, a journey into the unexplored territories of my own heart. The question wasn't just about what would happen next. It was about who I was becoming in this strange, unfolding narrative. The line between observer and participant blurred, leaving me caught in a whirlwind of emotions, unsure of where the night would lead, but strangely not afraid to find out. The silence, once heavy with unspoken tension, now felt pregnant with possibility. I took another step, my voice barely a whisper. "Let's be sure we're on the same page," I said, the words hanging heavy in the air. Gary's gaze, intense and unwavering, burned into me. His expression, a fiery mixture of determination and something else, anticipation. Suddenly, he rose, never breaking eye contact, and flicked on the room light. The soft glow illuminated the space, transforming the atmosphere. He moved swiftly, locking the door with a decisive click. My heart hammered against my ribs. Time seemed to stretch, to slow its relentless march, leaving only the two of us suspended in a bubble of shared intensity. As he approached, each step echoing in the sudden quiet, my breath hitched. He seemed to be scrutinizing my eyes, searching for some unspoken truth, yet simultaneously acknowledging the palpable attraction simmering between us. The air crackled with unspoken words, with the silent promise of something profound. Then his hands found my waist, the warmth of his touch, a jolt of electricity that surged through me, igniting a fire that spread through my veins. His nearness was intoxicating, a heady blend of danger and desire. Without a word, he leaned in, his gaze dropping to my lips. I didn't resist. I couldn't. It felt inevitable, destined, as if this moment had been written in the stars. When his lips finally met mine, a wave of tension, of pent-up longing, washed over me, leaving behind a tranquil calm. His kiss was slow, exploratory, a gentle probing that gradually deepened into a passionate embrace. My hands instinctively rose, finding purchase on his shoulders, feeling the strength and warmth of his body pressed against mine. The space between us vanished, our breaths mingling in a shared symphony of desire. That moment felt like an explosion, a release of all the unspoken emotions we'd both been carefully concealing, a culmination of unspoken yearning. Gary's youthful energy, his vibrant life force, collided with the quiet depth of my own passions. Passions honed and refined over years of unspoken longing. This was a beginning, a terrifying and exhilarating plunge into the unknown. That night, there was no longer any pretense, no hiding the undeniable truth of our connection. I sank back onto the bed, my body exhausted, but my mind a whirlwind of exhilarating thoughts. My breathing remained uneven, a ragged rhythm echoing the tumultuous emotions surging within me. My foot brushed against the silk of my dress, discarded on the floor. I felt Gary's eyes upon me, an intense, quiet energy radiating from his gaze. A moment later, he bent, picking up the fabric, his fingers lightly tracing the spot where my foot had rested. Even that simple act sent a fresh wave of shivers through me. As he held the dress, a fleeting moment of hesitation flickered across his face, a shadow of doubt, or perhaps apprehension, about the path we were embarking on. It was a fleeting expression, quickly masked by a look of profound love and commitment that spoke volumes. His gaze, now softer, more tender, met mine, and in that shared look, I saw a reflection of my own hopes and fears. The weight of unspoken promises hung heavy in the air, the unspoken question of the future echoing between us. Was this a fleeting moment of passion or the dawn of something truly enduring? The question remained unanswered, yet in that moment, suspended between the known and the unknown, I felt a sense of blissful surrender, a willingness to embrace whatever the future held, hand in hand with Gary. The room was silent, save for the rapid beating of my heart, a rhythm that mirrored the turbulent yet hopeful symphony playing within my soul. The night had just begun,